After a 30-day delay, President Donald Trump has implemented new tariffs on two of the United States' closest allies, Canada and Mexico. North Country officials say they'll have big impacts on the region's manufacturers, residential energy bills, and tourism industry. Over in Vermont, Canadians account for $150 million in visitor spending each year. In the face of Trump's antagonism, some plan to take their business elsewhere. That's today's story of the day.
Support for Story of the Day comes from Morja Wealth Management, serving the North Country for 3 generations. MorjaWM.com. Securities offered through Hightower Securities, LLC, member FINRA, SIPC. Hightower is an SEC-registered investment advisor. And Kinney Drugs, now offering specialized home medical equipment and supplies. Learn more at KinneyHomeCare.com.
Hi, I'm Kara Chapman, and for David Summerstein, it's Tuesday, March 4th. Up first, the prison wildcat strike has entered its third week. Governor Kathy Hochul offered a deal last Friday that included temporary pay hikes and a suspension of parts of the HALT Act that prohibits solitary confinement. Still, many corrections officers continued to strike. A dozen current and retired officers stood around burn barrels outside Riverview Correctional Facility in Ogdensburg yesterday. Retired CO John Robla says staffing shortages that force officers to work double or triple shifts against their will are also a sticking point. But he says the real problem is the HALT Act. Robla says it leaves officers without disciplinary options and creates a dangerous environment.
HALT has started this issue. When I see an old friend or whatever, I finally retired, that HALT deal, it's crazy, it's out of control. The inmates are running the jail, the officers have no say. But if they got rid of the HALT, they'd have some of these guys would have never resigned. Some of them never would have retired. They wouldn't be having this issue.
COs plan to take their fight to Albany today. Hochul said at a news conference they should get back to work. It's been about a month since the second Trump administration entered the White House. President Trump will give a joint address to Congress tonight. Our new news interns, Richard Haller, Noah Dinellen-Doser, and Nora Kenyon, talked to folks from 2 universities in St. Lawrence County to find out how they feel so far about Trump's handling of the presidency.
I am Andrew Matthews. I am a nursing major at SUNY Canton. I am a freshman, and I am from a town called Star Lake, New York. I feel like the administration is being wishy-washy, for lack of better words. They're putting many orders in place and then tearing as many back just as quickly. I'm not exactly certain how it will pan out. I'm hopeful, but I'm not sure. So public opinion is definitely playing a role in the administration right now, which I enjoy. I like how the public is actually being listened to right now.
My name is Allison House, and I'm from Weedsport, New York. I think that he's already shown that he does not have the American people's best interest in heart. He's made a lot of questionable decisions so far, and he's making a lot of decisions every day that we're not really getting enough time to digest everything that he's already changed so far. Just getting rid of DEI to begin with. Recently, SLU required that all clubs and organizations have DEI chairs, so I'm curious to see how that will impact our organizations on campus as we go forward, especially as we're still looking to replace our kind of DEI coordinator and our bias incident report system. So I'm really interested to see how that might change in the next 4 years.
My name is Aaron James. I'm a senior, and I'm from Cape Cod, Massachusetts. I don't necessarily think that he is a good politician, but I also think that the federal bureaucracy has allowed our government to deteriorate to a state where he can be seen as a politically viable leader. I'm a fan of his shutting down of the Department of Education. It has swelled to a point where there are 400 employees for the Department of Education, all who work specifically in administrative roles, and I have a very difficult time believing that $400 million a year is better spent on administrators in Washington than it is on actual schools across America.
Those were students at St. Lawrence University and SUNY Canton reacting to President Trump's first month in office. They spoke to our new news interns, Richard Haller, Noah Dinellen-Doser, and Nora Kenyon. President Donald Trump implemented 25% tariffs on all Canadian and Mexican goods today. It's just the latest sour note in several months of cross-border tension. Trump has said the goal of the tariffs is to get the United States' two neighbors to crack down on fentanyl trafficking and illegal immigration. Speaking in Albany today, Governor Kathy Hochul said she isn't buying it.
I just think that's a ruse for finding an opportunity to really turn our relationships upside down with important countries that we rely on for partnership. You want to be able to have this uninterrupted flow of commerce, but now we're going to be looking at these additional price tags because of the tariffs.
The tariffs are bad for business in the North Country, where thousands of Canadians come to shop and recreate. Across Lake Champlain, Canadians account for $150 million in visitor spending each year in Vermont. Some Canadians are reacting to Trump's antagonism by taking their business elsewhere. Vermont Public's Brittany Patterson reports.
The calls came on the same day last month, 3 of them.
The tone was all exactly the same.
That's Doug Klarner. He and his wife own the Burke Bike Barn, which offers rustic accommodations right off of a 100-plus mile network of mountain biking trails in the Northeast Kingdom. Since opening in 2012, Klarner estimates about 30% of their business has come from across the border, including the callers, who told Klarner they weren't coming this year.
In fact, one of them wasn't even a cancellation. It was just a repeat customer who just wanted to tell me, even though they weren't booked, they've been coming for years. And he just wanted to let me know that given the political climate, he would not be returning, even though he loves Kingdom Trails and he loves the Bike Barn.
Trump's rhetoric around Canada and the threat of tariffs have pushed some Canadians to fight back. They're using their pocketbooks and boycotting U.S. goods and travel, including in Vermont. For Klarner, that's meant losing $4,000 in business.
Trump did his thing and they called and said, Doug, we can't do it. And that's fine. I don't blame them.
Traditionally, Vermont and Canada have shared a close relationship, both culturally and economically.
40 to 50% of our business originates out of the Canadian market.
Steve Wright is the president and general manager of Jay Peak Resort, which is located just 15 minutes from the North Troy border crossing. Before the political morass, he says Canadians were already having to make tough choices about visiting. Canada's currency is weak against the dollar, and reduced hours at some border crossings aren't helping either. But Wright says Jay Peak's connection to Canada runs deep. At one point, the ski resort was even owned by a Canadian company.
You know, they're our neighbors, obviously, and they're our friends and they're co-workers in some cases.
In early February, Wright posted a message on Facebook noting the abrupt change in the U.S.'s posture toward one of its strongest allies and acknowledging that it's putting some longtime visitors in a tough spot.
We simply wanted to say, listen, we have empathy for the fact that it's a difficult decision that Canadians have to make as to whether or not to stay in country, as their prime minister suggested, or to come and visit what, feels an awful lot like home to them.
Jay Peak won't know the final impact until later in the season, but based on the responses to the post and cancellations, some Canadians are staying away.
It doesn't seem like a foreign country to us. It's just another country. It's just our neighbor. And it's a little bit alarming to see how quickly things can disintegrate, frankly.
Jeff Lawson is with the Lake Champlain Chamber. For years, he's helped market Burlington, which is less than 2 hours from Montreal, to Canadians. The state estimates 750,000 Canadians travel to Vermont each year. That dropped significantly when the border closed during the pandemic, which was a hit to local Vermont businesses. Now that things are more normal and the immediate post-pandemic travel bubble is softening, Lawson was once again hoping to appeal to Quebecers to spend time in Vermont.
Now all this political climate in Washington is really sort of sinking us deeper into the hole when we were hoping to be making a comeback, this year and next.
Most cancellations and outreach has been polite from Canadians, says Heather Pelham, the commissioner of the Vermont Department of Tourism and Marketing.
Folks are upset and they're frustrated. They don't really want to be in that position, so they're kind of holding out that olive branch that hopefully this will be temporary and we can get back to being friends again soon.
Doug Klarner, co-owner of the Burke Bike Barn, says he plans to tighten his belt this season. But his big concern...
I'm just hoping that when the dust does settle, they still come back.
That was Brittany Patterson from Vermont Public reporting. We have more news all the time on our website, ncpr.org. Music today by Christopher Watts of Canton and Beth Robinson of Potsdam. I'm Kara Chapman, North Country Public Radio.